Hello, today we're going to talk about unit rates. Please make sure that you have the handout that was given to you in class, pages 13 and 14. Let's go ahead and start. 6-2, unit rates. You have worked with unit rates in the past, so let's just talk about what that is. A unit rate, it's just one unit. That's the idea. Okay, unit rate, one, is a rate that's simplified to a denominator of 1. So it's when a rate is simplified and has a denominator of 1. Okay, so you'll be asked to compute unit rates just to practice that skill so you understand the directions. It says find a unit rate. So let's say you are traveling 82 miles, or you have traveled 82 miles in 3 hours. And I want to know a unit rate. Basically, I want to know how far have you gone in 1 hour. So we can set it up as a fraction here, 82 miles in 3 hours. To get down to the unit rate to make the denominator 1, basically you're dividing by 3. So you take 82 and you divide it by 3. As you start to do your division, you will see that you end up getting a repeating decimal. That's okay. Repeating decimals are numbers also. We just need to make sure that we use the correct notation. So let's get the bar over that 3. If you're asked to round to the nearest tenth or the nearest hundredth, please do so. But in this case, we'll just keep it as is. And we can see here that basically we're traveling around 27 1/3 miles every hour. But this right here is our unit rate. Please make sure that you have the denominator, and it would be good to use labels. You could even write it out. We travel 27.3 repeating miles every hour. Okay, this would be acceptable as well. The math sometimes might be a little bit easier. Let's say we pay $16 for 2 shirts. Basically, I want to know how much have you paid per shirt. You can do this in your head, but we can set up that fraction, $16 for 2. We can easily figure out by dividing by 2 that it's $8 per shirt. Okay, so again, we can leave our answer in this fraction, or we can just write it out, $8 for 1 shirt. So again, that's a unit rate. Unit rates come in handy a lot when you are shopping. If you've ever gone to the grocery store and you've looked at the little tags as to how much something costs, sometimes you can see the unit rate that you're paying 27 cents per gram. And you can compare prices that way. It's much easier to compare unit rates than it is to say, oh, it's $10 for 6 of these, and over here it's $12 for 7. Which one's better? So again, using unit rates is very, very helpful. Let's go ahead and take a look at an example like that where we can use unit rates, and I will allow you to use a calculator. I know that's very new for us, but some of the decimal division would just take a long time, so you may use a calculator to help yourself out. So let's say you wanted to burn a CD of your favorite music, but you don't have any recordable CDs, so you go to the store to buy some. Of course, they have many different brands, many different package sizes, and all that jazz. So you're trying to compare. You want to get the best deal. So let's say you have a package of 20 recordable CDs that cost $18. And there's another package that you see, it's 30 CDs, and they cost $28. So again, which one's the better deal? It's not always the case that the larger package is the better deal. Depends on brand and things like that. So I want to know, first, which package has the lower cost per CD. And then we'll talk about which one's the better buy. Okay. So the lower cost per CD. This is something important because we need to make sure that we handle these situations appropriately. And I'm talking money. Generally, whenever you are dealing with money as a unit, that portion goes on top. It's your numerator. So instead of writing 20 CDs per $18, I'm going to write $18 per 20 CDs because I want to figure out how much it costs per CD. I don't want to know what portion of a CD costs $1, and that's what you'd be figuring out if you put the CDs on top. You know, what part of a CD is equal to $1. So generally with money, even if it's presented second, you always want to put money in your numerator. You want to put money on top. You can do this division, 18 divided by 20, on your calculator. And when you do that, I will ask that you, well, just in general, we're going to round to the nearest penny. We get 90 cents per one CD. Okay, so that's the first package. Let's take a look at the second package. So again, when we're setting this up, we have to be careful to put the money on top. And now we're going to calculate with the second package how much it costs per CD. So we do 28 divided by 30. And again, round to the nearest penny, we're going to get 93 cents per one CD. So they're pretty close in price. They're pretty close. But which package has the lower cost per CD? We can clearly see that this first package has the lower price per CD. Okay, we can say, yeah, it's 90 cents for one CD in this package versus 93 cents in the other. So again, maybe we're talking about different brands. So there we go. Let's also see how we can use unit rates to solve other kinds of problems. So this is fun. This is a donut problem. So let's say you're in a bakery and you're making some donuts and you have a lot of people helping or maybe some machinery. And we have this one bakery that can make 195 donuts in 3 hours. It's a lot of donuts. And basically we want to know, at this rate, so assuming that we can keep up this rate, how many donuts can be made in 8 hours? So let's say a full working day. I will say there are so many different ways to solve this type of problem, and if you have another way that works for you and is pretty efficient, go for it. But I'm going to show you how we can use unit rates specifically to figure this out. But if you want to set up a proportion or something else, again, feel free. So we know that we have our ratio here. I'll write it as a fraction. And I know we can make 195 donuts in 3 hours, so let's go ahead and figure out how many donuts we can make in 1 hour, because if we know that, we can easily find the donuts made in 8 hours. So let's go ahead and divide by 3. You could probably do this one in your head. This one works out really nicely, but you are allowed to use a calculator. You will get 65 donuts per hour. It's a lot of donuts. And if I know that we have 65 donuts every hour and I'm trying to figure out how many donuts can be made in 8 hours, the logical thing to do would be to multiply. Now I'm going to show you something really cool here with the units. That's why I've written 8 hours over 1, but you could just write times 8. So yes, you do the numbers 65 times 8. Again, when you calculate that, you will go ahead and just checking my numbers here. Yep, 520 donuts. Okay. So why I set this up, it turns out that units can cross-cancel just like numbers do when we're multiplying. It's referred to as dimensional analysis, and we're going to be talking a lot about dimensional analysis soon enough. So here, hours can cancel out with hours, and that's why we're left with the label donuts. So 65 donuts per hour times 8 hours equals 520 donuts. I just wanted to point that out so that when you see this again, it looks a little bit familiar. Dimensional analysis. You will use this a lot next year in APS. So now let's go ahead and practice a little bit on our own. I would like you to grab the handout, page 13. And you can work in your notes for some space. So on page 13, I would like you to go ahead and please do numbers 7 and how about number 15. So hit pause, complete those, and then come back. Okay, so now hopefully you have completed these problems. And number 7, I liked this one, 40 sneezes in 20 minutes. The directions are to go ahead and find a unit rate. So we can do that by dividing. This works out really nicely. And basically it's 2 sneezes per minute. I hope it's not one person. That would be quite a lot of sneezes. Number 15, ice cream. An ice cream store can make 144 quarts of ice cream in 8 hours. And this is how many quarts could be made in 12 hours. So again, it would be nice to get down to a unit rate. Let me go ahead and divide by 8 to get my denominator of 1 hour. And 144 divided by 8 gives us 18 quarts. 18 quarts every hour. And then we'll go ahead and multiply by the 12 hours. And we get 216 quarts. Please flip your paper over. And I would like you to go ahead and take a look at numbers, let's see, 10 and 11. So please work through numbers 10 and 11 on page 14. Okay, so I'm assuming you're all set. Let's take a look at number 10. A roller coaster can accommodate 346 riders in 20 minutes. My goal is to keep down those lines, right? So how many riders could ride in 90 minutes? So again, it'd be really nice to know how many riders could ride in just 1 minute. You'll notice here that the numbers don't work out perfectly. Don't round immediately because we will not get an accurate answer. So even though I know that when you divide by 20, you get 17.3 riders, you want to continue working with that number 17.3 until the end. Okay, so if it's 17.3 riders every minute times 90 minutes, that will give us a nice number of 1,557 riders in 90 minutes. Number 11, bagels. Here we have the bakers at Joey's Bagels can make 340 bagels in 4 hours. How many bagels could be made in 10 hours? So again, we're just using unit rates to solve this, but there are so many other ways to solve, so if you did it another way, that is fine. This does work out nicely, however, when we divide by 4, so let me go ahead and show that. We get 85 bagels per hour. And if I multiply that by 10 hours, I will get 850 bagels. Okay, we'll work on this more in class. I will see you tomorrow. Thank you. Bye.